Welcome to Scrum Masters Elite_UK, a place where we share perspectives on sports, leadership, and resilience. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In modern sports, especially within professional women's sports environments, the story of leadership is no longer simply about who wears the captain's armband. What matters more is how a team builds trust, empowers its members, and creates connections between different generations of players. The announcement that Western Force will have Samantha Wood share leadership duties with Trilleen Pomare for the 2026 Super Rugby Women's season gave me a lot to think about, not only about women's rugby, but also about how people grow through adversity, how teams recognize each other's value, and how organizations build for the future through a balance of experience and innovation. The first thing that impressed me was not the leadership group itself, but the way the decision was made through a vote by the players. In sports, the captaincy is sometimes decided by coaches or based on seniority. But here, the players directly chose the people they trust. That reflects a very valuable team culture. It shows that leadership is not only about skill, but also about genuine influence in the locker room, on the training field, and in the way someone inspires teammates every day. Trilleen Pomare continuing to earn the team's trust after years in a leadership role is a clear example of the value of consistency and resilience. In an era where many teams constantly change in search of something new, maintaining the confidence of a group over multiple seasons is not easy. It proves that she is not only a talented athlete, but also someone who has earned lasting respect from her teammates. In my view, this kind of leadership is often not loud or flashy. It comes from professionalism, responsibility, and the ability to keep a team united during the most difficult moments.
At the same time, Western Force has shown that they do not want to stand still. Samantha Wood's appointment as co-captain sends a powerful message about renewal and progress. What makes her story especially meaningful is that she has just come through a difficult journey. She missed an entire Super Rugby Women's season because of injury, yet still fought her way into the Wallaroos squad for the 2025 Women's Rugby World Cup. To me, that story carries enormous significance. In elite sports, injuries do not only hurt the body, they test a person's spirit to the limit. Some athletes lose form after injury. Some lose confidence. Some never get the opportunity to return. But Samantha Wood turned that difficult period into a stepping stone for growth. I believe this is one of the reasons she has earned such respect from her teammates. Not because she is perfect, but because she faced real adversity and came back stronger. What I particularly appreciated in Coach Dylan Parsons' comments was that he did not describe Wood as a star. Instead, he emphasized her communication skills, her understanding of the game, and her ability to deliver the right message at the right moment. That is incredibly important. A great leader does not necessarily have to be the top scorer or the most visible player on the field. Sometimes, the person with the greatest impact is the one who knows how to maintain team spirit, when to push, when to listen, and when to stand up for the group.
I believe Western Force is moving in a very modern direction by building a shared leadership structure rather than relying entirely on one individual. In rugby and team sports in general, the pressure on a captain is always immense. When all responsibility falls on one person, the team can become overly dependent. But when leadership is spread across multiple figures in different roles, the team becomes more connected. Younger players can find mentors who suit them best, and different voices create a richer and more adaptable team culture. The selection of Michaela Leonard as vice-captain also carries strong meaning. She recently became the most capped player in Wallaroos history, which reflects extraordinary longevity at the highest level. I have always believed that athletes who sustain performance and commitment over many years bring a unique value to their teams. They contribute not only through skill, but also by representing professionalism itself. Young players looking at them learn that success does not come from a few explosive moments, but from consistency and dedication sustained over time. Another detail that stood out to me was the inclusion of several younger faces in the extended leadership group, especially Nicole Leddington. The fact that a player who has only recently debuted internationally is already being recognized for leadership qualities shows that Western Force is thinking not only about the present, but also about the long-term future. I really admire the way this team gives young players opportunities to express themselves instead of expecting them to remain silent and simply observe. In professional sports environments, young athletes are often under pressure to prove themselves. But when they are trusted early, they develop faster, not only in skill, but also in character and confidence. This is how many of the world's strongest sporting systems build the next generation. They do not wait until players become stars before giving them responsibility. They create opportunities for them to learn leadership early on. From the story of Western Force, I take away a very clear lesson for myself. True growth does not come from always having things go smoothly, but from how we respond to hardship. Samantha Wood grew through injury. Trilleen Pomare maintained her status through long-term consistency. Michaela Leonard became a symbol through years of perseverance. Each of them followed a different path, but they share one thing in common: they refuse to give up when facing challenges. I also think fans can see in this story one of the beautiful values of modern women's sports. Years ago, women's sports often did not receive the attention they deserved. But today, we are witnessing more and more women's teams building strong professional identities, tactical depth, and clear team cultures. That not only elevates the sport itself, but also creates positive role models for younger generations. One thing I especially respect is the way the coaching staff talks about the players with sincerity and respect instead of creating sensational headlines. There is no excessive hype, no controversial statements designed to attract attention. Everything centers around teamwork, development, and mutual trust. In my opinion, this is the true spirit sports should strive toward.
In the age of social media, much sports content has turned into drama, division, and the exploitation of personal conflict for views and engagement. But stories like Western Forces remind us that sports still hold beautiful core values: teamwork, respect, and the desire to become better than we were yesterday. For the wider community, especially young people pursuing sports, or any path in life, I think the story offers several meaningful lessons. First, nobody succeeds alone. A strong team always needs different types of leaders. Some guide through experience. Some inspire through fresh energy. Some quietly provide stability behind the scenes. All of them matter. Second, hardship is not the end. Samantha Wood's injury could have stalled her career, but in the end, it became an experience that helped her grow stronger. This reminds me of life beyond sports. Many people feel lost or defeated when facing setbacks. Yet sometimes those difficult periods are exactly what shape a stronger version of ourselves in the future. Third, respect cannot be forced. It must be earned over time through real actions. The players' continued trust in Trilleen Pomare shows that genuine respect comes from what someone consistently does every day, not simply from the title they hold.
I believe Western Force's upcoming season will attract attention not only because of results on the field, but because of the culture they are building. A team may win or lose a game, but what people remember for the long term is often the spirit that team represents. After reflecting deeply on this story, the strongest feeling left with me is optimism. Not a naive or unrealistic optimism, but the belief that sports still contain people who are genuinely trying to grow themselves while lifting others up along the way. That is what gives sports a power that goes far beyond the scoreboard. Perhaps that is why stories like Western Forces still deserve to be told. Not because they are loud or controversial, but because they remind us that true leadership is not only about leading from the front, it is also about giving others the confidence to move forward.
Thank you for following Scrum Masters Elite_UK. See you again in more stories about leadership, perseverance, and team spirit.